Exciting discovery here today for Pokemon Scarlet Violet. It looks like a couple of old, disproven Gen 8 leaks have been re-emerged, dug up from the grave, and have actually given us a lot of weird, strange hints for Gen 9 instead, even though these were actually Gen 8 hints. And a lot of these things are very, very specific to things we know about Gen 9 already. Let's have a look. I'll explain why these are credible and why these apply in this video. So while we're doing it, guys, while we're looking at this stuff, it's good to get a refresher of everything we know about Pokemon Scarlet Violet already. Pokemon Scarlet Violet is strongly believed to be in Spain, Portugal, sort of a mix, kind of that region, the Iberian Peninsula, right? That's the idea, that's the theme. We also have things like future and past, which is for these guys, Sada and Turo, both representing past and future, respectively. We got our starters, we have open world, right? We have open world, we have also new battle techniques, stuff like that. Sort of the battle system is going to be working a little differently. Basically, the Pokemon Company themselves have sort of alluded to that only. There's also old Pokemon in here that look very, very similar to betas, like this one right here. This is Pawnee. He looks so similar to old scrapped beta Pokemon from a long, long time ago. Very exciting. We got open world, we got cooperation between 4 players max, which is kind of cool too. You got different terrains and all that stuff, different weather, of course, that's to be expected. But there's a lot of key things here. And then there's some olive Pokemon again fitting in with the Iberian Peninsula setup. There's a lot of interesting things to look at here in these supposedly fake past leaks that were actually for Gen 8, but that seemed to be correct for Gen 9, and there's a reason for it. Also, you can see the overlay there is very, very simplified. Definitely toned down from what we're used to. There we got our Tauros teaser, I guess, and some Gen 8 Pokemon coming in, of course. So the Gen 8 leaks are this. Now this, a lot of things that are very important to look at first, right, as we start here. This was posted in December 26, 2017 on PokeJungle. These are the fake first alleged Gen 8 details surface, okay? So Pokemon Sword and Shield was released a little less than a year after this. But the details of this leak are pretty intriguing, especially with what we know about Gen 9 now. Let's see, the details is actually important. The next main Pokemon title has already been confirmed to be a Nintendo Switch game, but not much else is officially known at this point. So this is very early days. The game is obviously deep in development, but the final decisions for how the game is going to take shape has not been made yet. This hasn't stopped some Chinese sources from sharing potential information about the game though. Now, this is key because of course, from all the way back to Sun and Moon, the Chinese sources have been the go-to sources for credible, real leaks for games. And the interesting thing is that they do call this fake, but at the time, considering they got this from Chinese sources, which generally widespread have been very, very good for leaks since I've been a PokeTuber for Sword and Shield and Pokemon Legends Arceus, they've all been right from what I've seen. The fact that they call this fake from at this point, guys, actually is possible that all the things we're going to look at were real at this time of reporting. They're called fake now, but at this time, they were possibly, very possibly real, the actual decisions that Game Freak were working with to make Pokemon Sword and Shield, but decided to not go through with it somewhere along the year later, okay? But let's keep going here. Okay, so the source that they say was the same source for someone who knew about Rainbow Rocket before it was revealed, which is why they've taken particular note. Okay, so these are some of the things. The Chinese localization team has already finished translation of the game's script. Now, interestingly, that's probably the reason a lot of the things leak in general. The Pokemon Chinese community has access to all this stuff before the West does. It just seems to be the case. And so that's where ground zero is for all the information that we often get for these games that are often true, but then can actually also be changed dynamically as the game is still progressing through development. Let's keep going though. There will be no new Mega Evolutions introduced in the new games. That turned out to be right, but I don't know if that was a final decision because there was also hints towards Megas in Pokemon Sword and Shield, but there was no decision finally made to actually bring in Mega Evolutions once again. And they have brought in Mega Evolutions again in previous games not too long ago, such as the Let's Go's. You were able to get Mega Evolutions in games aside from the Gen 6 where they were actually the gimmick, which is interesting. Okay, that's very, very important. So this was probably a decision that was still up in the air, not finalized. It could have gone either way. I think when we were reporting on it, this could have gone either way, but they ended up sticking with this, and there was no Mega Evolutions introduced in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now, what about Pokemon Scarlet Violet? Well, looking at the decks for Pokemon Scarlet Violet from one of my previous videos, we can see a few interesting things. We can see a ton of G-Max Pokemon down at the bottom line here. Very big G-Max Pokemon to be added, but there's also a similar number of Mega Evolution Pokemon in here. So a couple of notable ones here. We got Gengar, Salamence, Tyranitar, right? There's a couple here, right? So there's quite a few Mega available Pokemon that have already been revealed in the game for Pokemon Scarlet Violet. It's possible that the gimmicks return. This was something I was discussing in this video. It's possible that we do get G-Max for some of them and Megas for some of them as post-game content. That's something that I've coined out there. I've thrown it out there. It's possible. I don't think we're going to get any new Megas or G-Max, but as for the old gimmicks returning, that could be something that will spice it up. Who knows? I don't know for sure, but it's definitely an idea they've considered, and whether or not they decide to bring that into the games in the end, we don't know yet. What about the next thing? Z-moves return, and now use motion control to activate using the Joy-Cons. Now this was a leak I actually covered a long time ago. I remember seeing this, and a lot of people covered this. Z-moves being brought back for Pokemon Sword and Shield was very possibly an idea that was toyed with, considering this is the gimmick from the gen before. So Z-moves in Pokemon Sword and Shield, that was probably something that was considered, that was decided to be scrapped in the end. As for that returning to Pokemon Scarlet Violet, I don't know. It's less likely than G-Max for me, honestly. It's less likely because it's not as exciting as seeing your Pokemon change forms. It's just not as exciting, not as engaging, and not as interesting as Mega Evolutions and G-Max, right? So Z-moves coming back, and considering it's going to be 2 gens ago, I don't know if that's going to be something that they'll even consider for Pokemon Scarlet Violet anymore. I'd say that's going to still be kept out of Pokemon Scarlet Violet. Now here's a big thing that gives us away, that Pokemon Scarlet Violet is now integrating scrapped ideas. And there's something else we need to look at that suggests that too. There's a leak that suggests that Pokemon Scarlet Violet is going to be taking on a lot of old scrapped ideas. So let's just have a look at that leak real quick. This is the leak I've often shown in many of my videos, which is now extraordinarily credible. A lot of things have been confirmed, especially since the last trailer. And this leak mentions specifically that Pokemon Scarlet Violet is going to reuse a lot of old ideas. So it's the first thing here, guys. Scarlet Violet will be pulling heavily from old and scrapped ideas. The game concept has been gestating for a while, in contrast to what the 2022 release date would leave you to believe. Okay, this is very, very important. So our 2 different professors is a big tie-in with this part of the so-called fake leak right here. The central conflict revolves around conflict between tradition and innovation, past and future. That's exactly the theme that they're going with for these 2 professors, who is past and future. This is Sada, so Pasada, which is past, and this is Turo, Futuro, which is future in both like Portuguese and Spanish. And in the other languages, like German, for example, their names, even though translated, also mean the same thing, past and future. Tradition and innovation. This is a scrapped idea that was labeled as fake for Gen 8 that seems to be used clearly in Gen 9. Very clearly the case. So the fact that they call this fake, I think is a mistake. I think these were real leaks that were decided to not be used in Gen 8, but were instead now some of them being used in Gen 9. So as for this, we have this in Gen 9 now. I just showed you that. And the next one, guys, is a big one. Regional inspiration has been rumored to be Spain or Italy. Okay, people have been speculating Spain or Italy for a long time based off of like little pictures they've seen in the background of various games. Spain, as it turns out, is correct. And honestly, there's not too much of a difference between Spain and Italy when you consider Pokemon Scarlet Violet is loosely based on the Iberian Peninsula. The terrain, the products like olive oil and all that stuff is the same. It's the same in Spain and Italy. So many similarities. It definitely has more tie-ins with Spain because of the Tauros elements that we've seen. But other than that, guys, the similarities between that and Italy are extraordinarily similar. It's such a small thing to go from Italy that they may have decided to do, and and then swap it to Spain. It's such a small thing they could have done at any point, and they did it, right? So here we are. We've seen so many pictures that allude to it being Spain, guys. The crests, from the coloring to the items on there as well, are just, they tie in with old Spanish royalty. The styles, the costumes, the toros, which is slightly teased there. And of course the olive oil Pokemon and all sorts, windmills everywhere. It's just, there's the olive Pokemon, the new one that's been talking about. So looking back at these so-called fake Gen 8 leaks, the region inspired by Rumors of Spain is now something else that we have in Gen 9. And another thing that they also captured here, but still included in these so-called fake leaks, was released to come in late 2018, which is actually when it came. Not December, but November, very close to December, or early 2019. So leaving enough of a space between when they could like have a little bit of a delay and so on. Just of course allowing for that if it does arise, which is natural. It's only natural. So from all of this, we have two very clear things that are now used in Gen 9. What do you make of the other things? What do you make? Well, we already know the release date as well, so we can include that if you want. It's not coming out in late 2018, but it's coming out late this year around November as well. So let's just scrap these three. The release date's the same as always. Z moves returning, Megas, and even G-Max possibly returning. Still a possibility, guys. Still something that may have just been scrapped for Gen 8, but is actually going to be brought to Gen 9 instead. Very, very possible. As for the Chinese localization team, that's actually something that may very well be the case, considering we're getting a lot of Chinese leaks now for Pokemon Scarlet Violet. Leaks, for example, this one being the Chinese Uncle Saga write-up that is being verified by every trailer, is from the Chinese community. It's true. Riddler Ku dropping all these leaks as well in the form of riddles. He gets his from the Chinese community. They're true, okay? So, dude, all of these parts, a lot of these parts, except for these two, tie in with what's already happening for Pokemon Scarlet Violet. But let's keep going, it's not even over yet. These details pale in comparison to what has also been said though, that is the game feature a new simplified battle system which has been compared to that of Digimon World games. For those not familiar with them, they use a real-time battle style in which moves are still selected via menu and include the option to attack or block moves from your opponent. It has also been compared to the battle system of Pokemon Tournament, in which moves are either attacks, blocks, or grabs and work in the rock, scissors, paper fashion. Okay. Now, for anyone who did not feel like this resonated with them, guys, this is describing early possibilities for what we got in Pokemon Legends Arceus. The fighting style is not exactly like that, but it's definitely a hell of a lot closer to what they describe here than any Pokemon game that we've ever gotten. And this could have very well been the basis for what they were deciding to do in Pokemon Legends Arceus, that we ended up getting a changed version of, that we're going to get a hybrid of now in Pokemon Scarlet Violet, because we know things are changing. It's going a couple of steps back from the Pokemon Legends Arceus style. However, it's also changing. It's not just going to replicate Pokemon Sword and Shield. It's going to be adding new dimensions to it that we haven't seen before, as well as a new gimmick that we haven't seen before. And who knows what they could add from this part here. They could change it. So in Pokemon Legends Arceus, for anyone who doesn't actually have the game, you can choose different styles. You can increase your speed to get multiple attacks in a row, or you can increase your attack power, which slows you down and allows for other attacks, multiple attacks from the other Pokemon, the enemy Pokemon. So this is something we've never seen before in Pokemon. This revolutionized it entirely. It was totally different. However, the early concept could have been exactly like this. It definitely looked like that in early footage that we've seen for the game before it was released. Pokemon were able to move around. You were able to move around. You were just dynamic. It was just completely open, and you had free movement during a battle. It could have definitely been this if they decided to go down this route, but they just scaled it back. That is everything that's here of note. These were considered fake Gen 8 leaks that seem to be becoming real for Gen 9. What do you think? The only thing that we're left to question here is what form is the battle system going to take in Pokemon Scarlet Violet, and the Mega Evolutions, G-Max, and Z moves. that's another thing we can start considering. Might be possible for them to add in to post-game, probably post-game in Pokemon Scarlet Violet. Something they didn't do in Pokemon Sword and Shield. But it's very important to remember going forward that these leaks appear to be real, not fake. They were just changed during the last year of development for Pokemon Sword and Shield. Also worth noting that they came from the Chinese community, which seems to be having a great track record right now of giving us real leaks like this. I'm excited. I'm super hyped to see if this is true. I mean, it's just kind of cool to cover this now because I think a lot of people are going to be looking at this and thinking, oh my god, that's right. Dude, these are old ideas that were just dismissed as fake, but these are actually real for Gen 9, even though they were not real, not really the case for Gen 8. Wow. Thanks for watching, guys. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did seeing that. It was really an explosive thing to dig up out of the grave from a long time ago. It does give us insight to what could be coming in Pokemon Scarlet Violet. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think? Is this real for Scarlet Violet? Is it not? I think there's a lot of things that are very, very convincing that suggest it is. But as for the two parts that are left out, the Mega Evolutions, G-Max, and Z-Moves, would you like to see all of them come back? Or if not, which ones would you like to see come back? Or none? Let me know. I'll see you guys around the next video. Till then, guys, bye!